every now and then there are a few bikes that crop up that you actually really enjoy but didn't quite do what you expected them to do in the first place. That sounds a bit cryptic, but what I'm talking about is the KTM 390 Adventure. The current one that we've got at the moment, honestly, when it first came out, I was a little disappointed. It felt like a bit of a road bike with some off-roady bits on it. It didn't feel like it made a proper stand as a KTM Enduro or an off-road adventure bike. In actual fact, I spent a lot of time riding it in Idaho and I had a whale of a time, and I've figured out how to ride that bike to make it fun. It's a revvy bike, it's a fast gravel road bike. It loves being ridden sat down, which kind of matches where it's succeeded, which is sort of India, that sort of end of the world. It's done really well, but definitely in Europe, I don't think we got the 390 Adventure R we actually wanted. Enter this one. Rather than being derived from the Duke chassis, the new KTM Adventure 290R has its own chassis, dedicated proper 230mm travel suspension, 21-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear wheel, spoked wheels from the off. It has adjustable suspension. This one's got the fancy Pro Component suspension that'll be available as well. But this feels much more like a serious effort from KTM to make a proper, lightweight, 400-ish cc adventure bike. And that is something to get excited about, because that lightweight class sits in that little gap between enduro and competition bikes and the sort of twin cylinder 790s that I think a massive amount of people want to ride. If you're an adventure rider and you want to get into off-road, you want to go outside your comfort zone, get stuck, fall off, ride gnarly trails, the 790s and the twins still require quite a lot of strength and skill to get the best out of. And a competition bike is not an adventure bike. There's something much harder to live with, much harder to look after, and still quite snappy to ride. This category of bike, I think, is going to open up a lot of off-road riding for adventure riders. And the fact that KTM has brought this one out, which is a far more serious approach into the category, that's exciting. That's properly exciting. They're a bit fuzzy on the full details at the moment, but 48-ish horsepower, A2 license compliant, so that'll be no surprise. It's the engine from the Duke that we rode earlier this year. The difference with that new 390 engine, a lot more mid-range, a lot better bottom end, which is going to suit this bike absolutely to a T. On top of that, they're looking at about 185 kilos wet. So again, just that little bit lighter. And the number doesn't tell the full story because the engine's lighter, the components in the engine lighter. So moving it around, throwing it around, it feels a lot lighter than a 7 or 890 would, even though it's only, let's say, 20, 30 kilos off the weight. Next year, there's going to be a big launch event with this bike. There's some really exciting things coming with it. KTM have promised me that when we get to ride it, it won't be a dawdle around a boring trail in the Pyrenees. It's going to be something epic. So watch this space. I cannot wait to have a spin on this. I'm putting it on my list of really exciting new bikes alongside the 450BM. That class, that middle tiny 300-400cc adventure bike class is about to get really interesting, and it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun finding out which is the best of all of them.